So, 2 videos in less than a month. I haven't done that since November. Hopefully I'll be able to make more, but I'm about to start a new job, so we'll see how that goes. I just want to take a quick moment. At time of recording, I am 9 subscribers short of 500, and would really like to hit that and even hit 1,000. So, if you like what you're seeing, please consider subscribing. Thank you. Good evening, Dead Texan here, and welcome back to Texplained, the series where I said I'd explain everything, and immediately tested that promise by going from World of Warcraft to the Second Amendment, and now straight into football. If you're wondering whether I meant it when I said that this series would cover a wide range of topics, yeah, this is what that looks like. We're bouncing from fantasy worlds to constitutional law to America's most polarizing football team. Which, now that I think about it as a Texan, 2 of the first 3 topics I chose cover are guns and football, which is pretty stereotypical Texan. The only thing that will make it more Texan is to talk about barbecue. Or Texas itself. Anyway, tonight we're talking about something personal, something cultural, something that has caused more emotional damage in my life than most formal relationships, the Dallas Cowboys. Now, before we get started, let me get the record straight. I am a die-hard Cowboys fan, born into it.
I was born in it, molded by it.
Baptized in the blue and silver. But I'm not one of those fans. You will never hear me say, "This is our year."
Say the line, Bart!
This is our year!
Because I've lived long enough to know better. I was born in 1987.
Oh, you're so old.
Which means I was a kid during the Cowboys' last true dynasty. Old enough to remember the vibes, the aura, the dominance, but young enough that I didn't fully appreciate what I was witnessing, and cursed enough to spend the rest of my life chasing that feeling. So tonight we're going to talk about where the Cowboys came from, why the 90s mattered so much, how things went sideways, why the team hasn't been back to the Super Bowl in nearly 30 years, and what actually needs to happen if this franchise ever wants to reclaim its former glory. This isn't a rage video, this isn't a cope video. This is a long-suffering fan explaining decades of trauma with a straight face. Let's begin. The Dallas Cowboys entered the NFL in 1960 and almost immediately became relevant. From the jump, this team wasn't just built to compete, it was built to matter. Dallas wasn't supposed to be a football city. It was supposed to be college football country, but the Cowboys changed that fast. Before the Cowboys were a brand, before they were a marketing juggernaut, before they were a meme, they were a football team with a soul. The early identity of the Dallas Cowboys was shaped by Tom Landry, one of the most important coaches in NFL history. Landry wasn't flashy, he wasn't loud, he wasn't chasing headlines. Under Tom Landry, the Cowboys weren't flashy, they were disciplined. Landry basically invented modern football concepts. The 4-3 defense, motion offenses, structure, and preparation. Then came Roger Staubach, Captain America himself.
What the shit?
Staubach wasn't just a quarterback, he was the quarterback. A Navy veteran, a leader, a clutch performer. Staubach embodied what the Cowboys represented at their best. Confidence without arrogance and excellence without chaos. Under Landry and Staubach, the Cowboys weren't just winning, they were respected. Staubach led the Cowboys to 5 Super Bowl appearances, 2 championships, and countless clutch comebacks. He coined the term for the Hail Mary in the 1975 playoff game against the Vikings, with the 50-yard game-winning pass to Drew Pearson. After the game, they asked Staubach what he was going through his head, and growing up a Catholic, he just said a Hail Mary, and the name stuck. Then there is Tony Dorsett, who in 1983 against the Vikings, again, set the record for the longest touchdown runner at 99 yards, which is still active today and has only been tied by Derrick Henry in 2018. This era established the Cowboys as America's team, not just because of marketing, but because they were consistently excellent. And that matters because the 90s dynasty didn't come out of nowhere. It came from an organization that already knew how to win, which makes what came next even bigger. Not everything was sunshine and rainbows for the Cowboys. Towards the end of Tom Landry's time at Dallas, they definitely had a fall from grace, particularly the last 3 seasons, all being losing seasons. This, plus a financially strapped owner, H.R. Bum Bright, resulted in 1989, Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys for $140 million, fired Tom Landry, and brought in Jimmy Johnson. Later that same year, the Cowboys traded Herschel Walker to the Vikings. At the time, fans were furious. Walker was the entire offense, but Jimmy Johnson saw something no one else did. That trade turned into multiple first-round picks, multiple second-round picks, and those picks became the foundation of the dynasty. That trade is still taught as a gold standard of roster building. The 90s Cowboys weren't a team that needed hype. They didn't talk about potential. They showed up expecting to win, and usually did. At the heart of it all were the triplets, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irvin. Aikman was the calm in the storm, accurate, unflappable, and never flashy for the sake of it. He didn't chase stats, he chased wins. He was at his best when the moment was biggest. Emmitt Smith was the engine. He didn't overwhelm you with speed, he wore you down, 4 yards, then 5, then 6, until defenses broke. The 1993 season, playing through a separated shoulder to clinch the division, cemented his legacy as much as breaking Walter Payton's rushing record in 2002 ever did.
Right on the mark! That should do it! Emmitt Smith has eclipsed Walter Payton as the NFL's all-time rushing leader, and somewhere, sweetness is smiling. The torch is passed.
And Irvin was fire. Emotional, physical, relentless. The playmaker didn't just catch passes. He imposed himself on defenses and dragged the offense into the fight when things got tight. Individually, they were great. Together, they were inevitable.
I am inevitable.
But what truly made the era unfair was what surrounded them. Up front was Larry Allen, a human cheat code. At the Pro Bowl, he famously benched 225 pounds 43 times, like it was a warm-up. Chased linebackers downfield, and turned elite pass rushers into spectators. Running lanes didn't open. Larry Allen created them. Alongside him were Nate Newton, Mark Stepnoski, and Eric Williams, forming an offensive line that didn't just protect the triplets, it enabled dominance. Defensively, the Cowboys hit just as hard. Charles Haley brought controlled chaos and championship experience. Ken Norton Jr. anchored the middle. Darren Woodson erased mistakes with speed, intelligence, and violence. And then came Deion Sanders. Primetime didn't just cover receivers, he eliminated them. Half the field disappeared. Quarterbacks hesitated, playbooks shrank. Add in his ability as a returner and the swagger he brought every Sunday, and suddenly the Cowboys weren't just beating teams, they were demoralizing them. This dynasty wasn't about one star. It was elite leadership, elite physicality, elite confidence, everywhere. That's why the 90s Cowboys didn't feel lucky. They felt... From 1992 to 1995, 3 Super Bowl wins, absolute league dominance, fear across the NFL. The Cowboys weren't just winning, they were overpowering teams. As a kid, this felt normal. The Cowboys were always on TV, they were always deep in the playoffs. They were always the team everyone measured themselves against.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys? Yeah!
And here's the thing that haunts the fans my age. We didn't know this was the last time. We thought this was how it worked. We thought excellence was permanent. We were wrong. This is the moment. After winning back-to-back Super Bowls, Jerry Jones fired Jimmy Johnson. Why? Ego. Jimmy built the team. Jimmy controlled the locker room. Jimmy didn't bow, and Jerry wanted the credit. So Jerry chose himself over sustained greatness. And yes, Barry Switzer won 1 Super Bowl, but it was with Jimmy's roster. And after that, they became inconsistent. And inconsistency kills greatness. The late 90s and early 2000s Cowboys lived in football purgatory. Not bad enough to reset, not good enough to dominate. Every season felt familiar. New coach, new system, new optimism, same ending. Early playoff exit or no playoffs at all. This is when the Cowboys became less feared and more mocked. Not because they lacked talent, but because the gap between expectations and results became impossible to ignore. Then came Tony Romo, and I'll say this clearly. Romo was never the problem. He was the embodiment of Cowboys fandom during the era. Talented, hopeful, flawed, and constantly asked to do too much. The Romo years were defined by one word: almost. Almost deep playoff runs, almost breakthrough seasons, almost enough. And that hurt more than being bad ever could. Now we're in the Dak Prescott era. Dak is not perfect, but he's not trash. Dak is not the sole reason the Cowboys haven't broken through. The team has had strong rosters, explosive offenses, and elite defenses at times, and yet January keeps ending the same way. Why? Because the problem isn't individual players, it's organizational philosophy. Now we have to talk about the elephant in the room, Jerry Jones. Let me be clear, Jerry Jones changed the NFL. He helped turn the league into a massive business that it is today. He built a global brand, the most valuable sports, not just football, franchise of all time. He brought championships to Dallas. Here's my perspective. Despite what Jerry says, he no longer shows the drive to do what winning actually requires. At least not the way it used to. Cowboys under Jerry Jones prioritized stability over disruption, control over delegation, and comfort over risk. And championships are not built that way. Winning in the modern NFL requires letting football people make football decisions, even when those decisions are uncomfortable. As long as the Cowboys are run like a family business instead of a ruthless competitive organization, the ceiling stays capped, even as pieces fall off. True contenders hire strong GMs, empower coaches, build quietly. The Cowboys, overexposed, overmarketed, overmanaged. Now look, on one hand, it's cool that the Cowboys franchise allows its fans to see so much and really caters their fan experience, but sometimes you gotta draw a line. It's a football team, not a petting zoo. Until the Jones family steps back from football decisions, it's hard to believe real change ever happens. The path back for the Cowboys is real, but it isn't easy. Dallas doesn't suffer from a lack of talent. It suffers from a lack of true football autonomy. As long as ownership remains deeply involved in day-to-day roster philosophy, coaching authority, and messaging, the team will continue to feel more like a brand than a contender. The modern NFL rewards organizations that trust systems, empower coaches, and builds quietly with discipline, depth, and adaptability, not ones that sell confidence year-round. The Cowboys don't need a total rebuild. They need a philosophical reset that prioritizes accountability over optics and results over relevance. The clearest long-term path back to sustained championship contention may only happen once the Jones family fully steps away from football operations, because history has shown that wanting to win and being willing to change are two completely different things. I love this team, and I always will. But loving something doesn't mean lying to yourself about it. I'm not a this is our year guy, I'm a show me guy. And until the Cowboys show me they're willing to change what's held them back for decades, hope stays cautious. Still alive, still loyal, just wiser. If you enjoyed this Texplained episode, hit like, subscribe, and let me know what topic you want next. And remember, don't be a puto in the comments. This has been Dead Texan, and if you're a Cowboys fan like me, I'll see you next season. Again.